Hello and welcome to the Valley of Death, where everything is spooky, but we keep things light. Now, moving on from the Universal monsters and them constantly trying to make an updated universe for, well, modern Hollywood, I thought it'd be a great idea to move on to another cinematic universe where it's actually a tad bit more successful, and that's with the American version of Godzilla. No, not that one. Definitely not that one. Oh, come on, guys. It's the 2014 one. After an incredibly awful attempt at trying to make Godzilla for American audiences, Toho decided to bring the monster back a little bit, specifically because, well, America isn't really that good at adapting foreign movies into American ones. That goes for a lot of horror movies and monster movies in particular. Yeah, they might be fine, but they certainly aren't the great works of art that they were overseas. A few that I can name are, well, The Ring and the Grudge movies. Although not terrible, the Japanese versions are clearly the far superior versions to watch. The same goes for Godzilla especially. If you want to watch a classic, good old-fashioned Godzilla movie, it's best to go ahead and watch all of the Toho originals, specifically because, well, although they might come off as cheesy because it's guys in rubber suits playing giant monsters, it's still a lot of fun to watch, and sometimes they can have really great commentary. Now, that did change in 2014 when Warner Brothers was able to go ahead and get the rights to be able to go ahead and make a Godzilla movie. And, well, we wound up with something that was honestly kind of incredible. Godzilla 2014 was directed by Gareth Edwards, who doesn't have that large of a directing library, but he has done some incredible works, more specifically with his movie Monsters, and of course this one, and he also did Rogue One, which is actually my favorite out of all the Disney Star Wars movies. This Godzilla movie was supposed to be a return to form, taking the monster a lot more seriously compared to just making some over-the-top, cheesy monster movie, and I can understand that, especially after, well, the atrocity that was the Roland Emmerich Godzilla movie. And then on top of that, there are also a lot of American audiences that don't take Toho's Godzilla movies seriously. I mean, I can understand why there are some really cheesy aspects about those movies, but they are still a lot of fun, and to be honest, the Japanese take this character very seriously. It is one of their biggest pop culture icons of all time. So the fact that America in particular was taking another jab at the monster, a lot of people went in a little bit cautious, to say the least. I do have to say, after the movie came out, there were quite a few mixed reactions when it did come to the movie. Overall, it got a decent critical reaction. A lot of critics said, wow, this is actually a decent monster movie. It has some okay kind of message to it and everything, and it's not awful. But a lot of Godzilla fans did watch this, and although a lot of them were very excited that Godzilla was back, there were a lot of people who were honestly really under-enthusiastic about the whole experience. Now, I'm a pretty big Godzilla fan. I own almost all of the movies. As a matter of fact, I think I'm only missing two, and one of them is just impossible to buy because it's so gosh darn expensive. I'm looking at you, Godzilla vs. Biollante. I own a bunch of the NECA action figures. I have a bunch of the Godzilla games. I am a huge Godzilla fan. As a matter of fact, the very first movie I watched with my son Pippin was a Godzilla movie. Granted, he wasn't really able to process it at all, since he was, well, in the words of my wife, basically a potato. But still, you can tell, I love Godzilla a lot. So as a Godzilla fan, do I think that this is a great return of the King of the Monsters, or is it just, well, your average run-of-the-mill monster movie? Well, that has yet to be seen. So, here we go, as we watch the 2014 version of Godzilla. We start off with what most monster movies start with, a montage! Oh my god, I'm already getting flashbacks to the Wolfman movie. To be fair, I actually like these kinds of openings when it comes to monster movies, because although most of the time these monsters are born from some atom bomb testing or something, I find it classy in a B-movie sort of way. But in the case of this movie, the bomb was actually meant to kill Godzilla instead of creating him. So already, there's actually a kind of a little bit unique twist when it comes to the character of Godzilla when it comes to this movie. After the credits, we cut to Dr. Serizawa, played by Ken Watanabe. Dr. Serizawa is actually a character from the original 1954 movie, so this is actually kind of cool that they are bringing back an original character. Dr. Serizawa was also a scientist in the first Gojira movie, but in that one, he was actually the creator of the Oxygen Destroyer, a weapon that was meant to kill Godzilla, which it did, kinda. The Godzilla movies don't really make that much sense, but that's okay. We love them for what they are. But it is cool to kind of see him in a different role within this movie, as he's much more a scientist who is trying to preserve these ginormous monsters rather than destroy them all.
And does this scene look a little bit familiar?
Dr. Serizawa is called in as there was a mine that collapsed that unearthed something that looks kinda like a Godzilla skeleton and 2 spore-like eggs, with one of them hatched.
What is it? Some kind of egg?
Not much information is given about all of this stuff, and then we cut to Japan, meeting some kid. Cool. We then meet one of my favorite characters from this movie, Joe Brody, played by I just needed a break from Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston.
Like unexplained frequency patterning near a plant where I'm responsible. I need a meeting.
He's basically concerned about some unusual seismic activity that was way too close to a power plant that he works at.
I need to know that it's not the sensors. Okay, I can't be calling this meeting and look like the American maniac.
Joe Brody is arguably the most likable and most invested character within this entire bloody movie. Ken Watanabe is definitely a close second, but Bryan Cranston just pours his heart into this role.
Happy birthday.
What? Is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I forgot all about it. Yeah,
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I should have a birthday more often.
Man, I really can't wait to watch the growth of this character as we go through this entire movie. Anyways, Joe's wife goes down to the lower levels to check if there is anything wrong with the facility when...
You take us offline.
we then get an earthquake, which breaches... something, forcing Joe to trap his wife in the containment room. Normally in a movie like this, I would probably say, I don't really care. They're kind of just characters in a monster movie, but dang it, Bryan Cranston, you're making me care! In movies like this stuff would be glanced over just to make room for more monster action, but they really did do their best to make us care about Joe and his family.
I can't afford it. Jesus.
Like I said, it's just very odd for someone like Bryan Cranston, who is riding the coattails of Breaking Bad, to, well, be in a Godzilla movie where he's literally pouring his heart and soul into this character. I really give him a lot of props for actually caring about this. However, because of the earthquake, the plant winds up collapsing, and we cut to 15 years later, where our little boy from the beginning is now a grown-up soldier, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, as he is finishing a tour and returns to his family, with his wife played by... Elizabeth Olsen? Well, somehow the fanfiction writers of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver won... Wait a minute, this actually happened? Are you freaking serious? However, whoopee time needs to be cut short as they find out Ford's dad, Joe, has been arrested by the Japanese government for trying to find out the truth as to what happened that fateful day.
The new readings are exactly like they were on that day, and I can prove it to you. With a little bit of luck, if I can get back to it.
Ford tells his dad to pack up and come home, where he agrees. only to be caught as a dirty liar. Of course, Ford goes with him to investigate their old home to gather evidence. Once again, can I just say how much effort Bryan Cranston is putting into this bloody movie? They find what they're looking for, only to get caught and brought to a secret lab that was built over the ruins of the power plant, run by an organization called Monarch. Of course, ever since the Avengers, every single cinematic universe needs to have some secret organization. I mean, there's Monarch, there's Prodigium from the Dark Universe, there's the Catholic Church. Oh wait, that one's real. Dr. Serizawa, of course, is in charge of the organization, and it seems that the cause of the earthquake was this egg. Claw thing that's holding in a monster, and it seems it's ready to be hatched. This lovely monster right here is called the Muto, and I have to say, I'm not a fan of the design. It's not that it's bad, but it just seems to be piggybacking off the design of so many other American-made monsters that personally I think Cloverfield made kind of popular. So many giant and even small monsters have this design, and honestly, it just reminds me that Americans have absolutely no imagination when it comes to making monsters in the modern era. Anyways, the Muto wreaks havoc on the facility, and it turns out to have EMP powers, which it's kinda cool that he does actually have powers that are fitting to be in something that's like a Godzilla movie, so at least the American filmmakers have props in that regard. Oh, thank God. Joe has escaped, and I bet he's going to save the day! What the hell, movie? No. Don't give us that fake out crap. We know he's dead. And now we're left with bland McMilitary farts. Why give this character so much love, attention, and detail only to kill him off before we even get halfway through this movie? It's bullshit! Honestly, after this sequence, this is where the movie kind of goes downhill, other than with the monster fights afterwards. We get tons of scenes of either the military or scientists trying to hunt down this thing, and although I don't mind this in other Godzilla films, or heck, Gamera, where they do this stuff every single Friday, it just seems so dull and boring and with no interesting characters other than Serizawa, who is in the movie as much as Godzilla is. There is just no one you care to follow. Speaking of Godzilla, where the hell is he? I know they're building up the reveal just like in the original, but he was the only monster. So although we didn't see him a lot, his presence was felt through the whole movie because Godzilla was the threat. Here, we have this stupid, unimaginative monster through most of this movie. And we're just waiting for Godzilla to show up! Oh my God, an actual picture of Godzilla! Take it away, quickly! So Dr. Serizawa and the other scientists explained to Ford just who Godzilla is, and that the nuclear testing was the military trying to destroy him, and that the Muto is similar to Godzilla and that they both feed off of radiation.
The hatchling burrowed straight for the nearest source of radiation, your father's power plant in Janjira, and cocooned there for 15 years.
Ford flies to Hawaii to catch a flight back home, where he gets stuck with this kid to, I don't know, to further prove that he's a better dad than his dad. Honestly, this whole plot point is completely pointless and is done in 5 seconds. The military finally finds the Muto feeding off of a sub.
You made Subway $5 footlongs famous, so to thank you, we're making any regular footlong a $5 footlong.
The Muto attacks with its EMP blast, shutting the city and the military down. However, our title character is getting tired of being sidelined for this boring-ass monster, so he finally decides to make an appearance. least Godzilla was kind enough to avoid the ships. I can tell you this much. The slow build-up during this whole sequence is done beautifully. The tsunami coming in, destroying a lot of the city, the military firing flares to reveal just how big and threatening Godzilla is, does put me on the edge of my seat just waiting for the full reveal. The Muto attacks the airport when... It's freaking Godzilla! You beautiful creature! We haven't seen you since the stupid 98 remake! And oh my gosh, you are just so gosh darn good looking. Now, actually show that stupid, unimaginative monster who's boss and kick its ass!
Sam, please turn that TV off.
You cut away? You cut away from the fight just as you show the bloody title character who we have been waiting for so darn long, only to have the audacity to show this monster fight in a news clip! No, please, cut away to this absolute waste of time that I really wanted to see what happened to this kid when he has absolute no point to the plot of this darn movie. Yes, filmmakers, you know what we want in a Godzilla movie. Now, I don't mind human characters in monster movies, but you got to make them engaging. There was one character like that, but you killed him off! We get another military scientist scene when they find out that the Muto wasn't really calling Godzilla, but yet another Muto.
I think Godzilla was only listening. The Muto was calling something else.
Shocking, I know. Why would on earth this monster call Godzilla just so Godzilla could kill him? Wait, you couldn't just go around the mountain and just see the giant sigh that was blown out of the mountain? Well, you know what they say, whatever happens in Vegas doesn't actually stay in Vegas because life has consequences. Then we cut to another scene of talking about the monsters when we find out that they are male and female and they want to do things that Jason Voorhees would not be proud of. The military then discusses the use of nukes to lure the Mutos out to sea, only to blast them to hell along with Godzilla, which, isn't that like trying to kill a bear with a 3-course meal?
Don't be serious. They feed on radiation.
Correct. That's why we use the bomb as bait.
And kill them with the sheer force of the blast.
Of course the scientists disagree because nukes. And we do actually get some character development from Serizawa, which does actually tie back to the themes of the original Godzilla.
It stopped? Yes. 8:15 in the morning, August 6, 1945. Hiroshima. It was my father's.
I actually think that this is a very unique change, and honestly very fitting with the original themes of the first Godzilla movie. The original Godzilla was a metaphor for nuclear destruction, and was actually made because of the bombs dropped on Hiroshima. And yes, Godzilla has changed through the years, and in some way he is actually looked at more in this movie as a force of nature rather than nuclear destruction, with the Mutos actually taking that role. But Serizawa's hatred for nuclear weapons is solidified to this connection of Hiroshima, where he looks at Godzilla as nature combating the devastation of nuclear warfare. A bit heavy-handed, but it's far more interesting than, well, the blandness that's the rest of this movie. Oh, forgive me, I forgot you were in this movie. We get Ford trying to convince this sergeant that he should go along with the bomb so he can help defuse it if he needs to. Of course the sergeant says no, but then changes his mind because his family's in the city. Wow. I mean, I've never been in the military, but I highly doubt they would just let some random dude on just because he says he has the experience and just because his family's in the city. I mean, don't you have to go through like a ton of background checks and actually get like your team like fully solidified with this guy and everything? And do you know what? It's a movie, Ned. Stop asking questions. We get another military scientist scene where Serizawa pleads again to not use the nukes.
We tried that before.
We're talking dialable yield. Megatons, not kilotons. Nothing can withstand that blast. Makes the bomb we tried to kill it with in 54 look like a firecracker.
Nukes are nukes! They try to bring the nukes via train, but the Muto ruins things, albeit in a pretty tense scene. He then eats the nuke, where the military grabs the last one and Ford and brings them to the city.
Hey, where are they taking it?
20 miles offshore, convergence point. We're gonna lure them there.
What do you mean, where are they taking it? They put you on the team and they didn't tell you anything? The military start getting ready for the monsters as they realize that Godzilla is heading towards a bridge full of civilians trying to leave.
Open fire!
They attack Godzilla, and I have to say, I really love this bus driver. He's just, hell no, these kids ain't dying. Another cool, but quick, Godzilla scene later, the male Muto attacks the last nuke and delivers it to his mate. Should I censor this? YouTube, please don't give me the yellow monetization sign. Ford catches up with the plot, and the military realizes that maybe it wasn't a good idea to use a nuke that was a time bomb! The US military, everybody, making awful decisions since 1776. The general meets up with Serizawa to basically get the trailer line and the overall message of the movie.
The arrogance of man is thinking nature is in our control, and not the other way around. Let them fight.
We cut back to the city and finally get a monster fight scene. Son of our most holy mother, you cut away again! We then get this pretty awesome sequence that was super hyped up in the trailers, and yeah, I have to agree, it's awesome. I really like the military just falling through the debris and the clouds of this destroyed city as they see glimpses of the monsters as they're falling through. It's really eerie and just so darn cool. The military discover the location of the nuke and come across... Are you sure I shouldn't censor this? Where Godzilla finally shows up and... Okay, I'm going to give the movie this. Every time when Godzilla does show up, it is a moment for everyone to crap in their Godzilla underwear, just to show how freaking awesome he is. Also, I'm just gonna say this, the female Muto is a badass. Imagine just giving birth and then you go off to fight Godzilla. She should be the face of feminism. Finally, we get some pretty awesome monster action. The soldiers retrieve the nuke only to find out they can't deactivate it and have to bring it to a boat. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to put a time bomb on a nuke! Ford blows up the nest, distracting the Mutos away from Godzilla, who is currently losing the fight. You are so screwed. The soldiers finally get the nuke to the boat, only for Mamamuto to catch up. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Godzilla equivalent of a B-slap. Godzilla seems to be out for the count when we have this weird moment between Ford and Godzilla. Are they supposed to bond now? Are we done? Oh, there he goes. Ford makes it to the ship, pulls out to sea, and... okay, this is where my organs would vacate my body through my behind. And then... this is way too freaking awesome! I know this movie has honestly been very dang slow when it comes to literally anything about Godzilla, but literally every single moment when Godzilla does show up and just, well, does anything, it is a moment for Godzilla fans to rejoice. This is just so amazing after having to wait so many years without having anything Godzilla. The movie might not be perfect, or even great for that matter, but I would have to say a lot of these moments were worth the very long wait for a lot of Godzilla fans. Godzilla then retreats to the city only to go to sleep after a very, very long, tedious evening. Ford gets picked up from the boat only for the nuke to blow up and not causing any fallout. Okay, yeah, sure. And then we cut to the next morning where everyone thinks Godzilla is dead. Oh, nope, just a quick nap. Godzilla gets up, he leaves the city, and then we get the title for the next movie. And that was the 2014 movie of Godzilla. And how is it? It's pretty freaking awesome! Kinda. Sorta. It's okay. This is actually a very difficult movie for me to dislike because so many of the Godzilla moments truly are moments for Godzilla fans to rejoice. I love every single scene that Godzilla does show up, and I really love Dr. Serizawa and honestly Joe Brody because, while they're very engaging and have a lot of really good acting chops to this movie. However, everyone else is so gosh darn boring. And a lot of the scenes that they do put into this movie, which I would argue are kind of nice homages to the original Godzilla movies and even other monster movies of the past, they just, for some odd reason, don't really fit here. I don't know what it is, but they just come off as uninteresting and very boring. It's probably because I just don't care about any of the characters other than Ken Watanabe's character. I can tell that this movie was given a lot of love and attention, and honestly, artistically, it is a pretty darn good Godzilla movie. It does have a lot of faults, and honestly, the Mutos are not really that interesting of a monster character compared to the rest of Godzilla's plethora of monster villains, but they do kind of do the job for what they are, and like I said, the return of Godzilla is bloody amazing, and I couldn't be happier for what is to come after this movie. The King of the Monsters is back, and it's time to start his cinematic universe. Man, I'm really excited to get on with the rest of these movies. I mean, yeah, there's only 2 more, but honestly, I am really excited about the next one in particular, as it is the return of another, well, monster who hasn't been in the movies for a very, very long time. Let's welcome back King Kong. This has been the Valley of Death, where everything is spooky, but we keep things light. I'll see you guys next time.